The man just made a wish to the cockroach before dying, not expecting that after being eaten by a radiation-altered monster, he would be reborn as a juvenile cockroach.
It turns out that in the year 2026, the world experienced a crisis beyond scientific explanation.
Enormous insects emerged from the ground, boring countless abysses that connect to other worlds. These deep pits are inhabited by numerous monsters, like challenging dungeons in a game. People call them the Abyss. The Abyss also emitted an unknown radiation, and a few people gained powerful abilities under its influence. These individuals are called Awakened. And those weaklings who could not awaken abilities can only do the dirtiest and most exhausting work to have a meal in the apocalypse.
This man is called Zhou Yi, an ordinary person just trying to survive in the apocalypse.
That day he was with the team, loading monster corpses onto a truck. Just as he was about to stop and catch his breath, unexpectedly, the captain slapped him. "Why are you dragging your feet, trying to act pitiful with me?" To earn a living in the apocalypse, Zhou Yi endured it without complaint. But just at that moment, a giant insect monster suddenly awoke from the pile of corpses and, as if it had seen food, let out a sharp roar towards everyone. The laborers and the captain were all petrified in place with fear. When that giant insect monster started charging, they snapped back to reality and desperately ran toward the safe zone. However, the captain, who had long exploited the underlings, couldn't outrun these laborers. To stall the giant insect monster, he drew his pistol and shot the unlucky Zhou Yi, who was running ahead of him. Zhou Yi immediately lost the ability to move and fell to the ground. The captain looked back and didn't forget to sneer. "This is exactly when useless people like you come in handy. Ha ha ha." At this moment, Zhou Yi knew he was being used as bait, which would give them more time to escape. "Why? I just want to survive. Why is it so hard? Someone like me, who hasn't awakened any abilities, is destined to be eliminated, right?" Amidst the emotions of anger and unwillingness, he saw a cockroach crawl onto his hand and sighed that in this apocalypse, perhaps only cockroaches can live well. At least they can eat anything, unlike me, who has to run around every day just to find something to eat. Plus, they have a strong vitality. Even the radiation from the abyss can't kill them. In the next life, if I could become a cockroach, how great that would be. But after Zhou Yi was eaten, he unexpectedly activated the ability evolution system, which continuously helped reconstruct his body, and eventually, after more than 1,500,000 times, successfully transformed the human structure. At the same time, in a garbage-strewn alley somewhere in the city, Zhou Yi opened his eyes and saw a limb that wasn't human. With a feeling of unease, he went to a broken mirror, and what met his eyes was an ugly cockroach nymph face. At this moment, Zhou Yi was both shocked and terrified, never expecting that the nonsense he spoke before dying had actually come true. A man reincarnates as a young cockroach, but on his first night after reincarnation, he nearly starves to death because the delicacy offered by his kind is shockingly small. Not only did he refuse to eat, but he also beat the other party up. It turns out the man made a wish to a cockroach before he died. Unexpectedly, after his death, he really turned into a cockroach. Surprisingly, the additional pair of arms on his body didn't make him feel uncoordinated at all. The only discomfort he felt was in his upper back trapezius muscles. To address this, he tried to secretly exert some force, but unexpectedly opened his wings and flew into the air before colliding with the wall and then gradually falling down. It turns out, as long as he slightly controls the muscles on his back, the wings will immediately start moving. If I'd known that making a wish before dying would be so effective, I would have wished to become something else. At this moment, a golden cockroach silhouette suddenly appeared before his eyes. Humans who are never satisfied, are you mocking the feelings of the god of cockroaches? In 5,000 years, you are the first human to pray for power from the god of cockroaches. I intended to give you the strongest power, but you then regretted it. Zhou Yi was shocked. This online novel did not deceive him. He immediately changed his tune and knelt down. But the cockroach god was already angry, and without a word, disappeared into the dark alley. At the same time, the system issued a shutdown notification. You are despised by the cockroach god. And so, for the next 10 days or so, Zhou Yi kept shouting into the air, "Oh no. System, someone! System!" But no matter how he pleaded, he couldn't bring the system out. However, during this period, Zhou Yi discovered that he could understand the communication between cockroaches. But when his kind were enjoying dinner, he squatted alone in the corner. Only because the delicacies his kind was enjoying were the excretions of other adult cockroaches. At this moment, a little roach noticed Zhou Yi in the corner and specifically offered him a delicacy. "Brother, you have to eat it while it's hot. Here's a freshly dropped piece." Zhou Yi was so frightened he was beside himself. "Don't come near me." However, the little roach didn't listen and kept pushing forward. "Don't be polite. I like eating crickets. You can have this piece." Zhou Yi got angry and punched the little roach several times. "I told you not to come near me." The little roach fell to the ground with a thud. "Brother, you've hurt my feelings." Zhou Yi could only apologize. "Your mouth smells like dung. Could you die over there before speaking?" After fasting for 5 nights, Zhou Yi had fainted on the ground, and now he was actually starting to find the smell of dung enticing. To prevent himself from sleepwalking into a pile of dung at night, he must find food now. Although the sealed plastic packaging blocks the cockroach's perception, it can't block my human wisdom. Based on my human experience, there should be something edible in this pile of garbage. Sure enough, once Zhou Yi opened the plastic bag, what met his eyes was an egg yolk pie 3 years past its expiration date. After eating and drinking enough, Zhou Yi again thought of suicide to start over. But he couldn't die from jumping off a building, drowning, or even drinking pesticide. The only way was to find a natural predator of cockroaches and let it eat him. However, just the thought of being chewed to pieces by that giant bug monster made him back off. For now, he might as well live properly. Cockroaches are social insects. If in the future I can rule a group, being a cockroach king isn't impossible. So what if the cheat power is gone?
With the wisdom of my previous human life, I can still find enjoyment.
Then he started drawing big plans for the chubby guy. I see you're uniquely talented, want to swap with me? Yet, what he got in return was merciless ridicule. You can't even catch poop while it's still warm. Steady, right? It was at this moment that Zhou Yi realized, if he wanted to dominate the cockroach world, it wasn't important how well he lived. What mattered was making these bugs see that he was living well.
Now I need a chance to prove myself.
The man is reborn as a cockroach larva. Faced with the tasty dung shared by his kind, not only does he refuse to eat it, but he also beats the other one up. Afterward, he tries to recruit it as his follower using human intelligence, but all he gets in return is the other's merciless mockery. You can't even eat fresh dung. Get lost. At this moment, Zhou Yikai realized he had to find an opportunity to prove himself. Soon, on the 20th day, the opportunity arose when the adult cockroaches decided to move the base, and whether to follow or stay was entirely up to individual choice. Upon hearing that there would be no more dung to eat, the larvae all burst into tears. In his heart, Zhou Yi complained, "You are the worst generation of cockroaches I've ever been with. Every day just lacing around instead of digging through trash cans." That chubby one even started bawling, saying, "I'm afraid to go out." Only then did Zhou Yi realize that cockroach nymphs are such homebodies. At this moment, the leading cockroach asked, "Is there anyone who will take on the responsibility of scouting ahead?" But all the young cockroaches below lowered their heads.
The scene fell into dead silence.
Zhou Yi grunted inwardly, not bothering with these bugs. "I don't rely on you to get things done." But at this moment, a notification sound suddenly rang out, and the cockroach deity said, "If you take on this task, I might consider forgiving you." To gain the power of the cockroach god, little fatty nearby was moved to tears. "Wow, big brother, you're so brave." Only Zhou Yi knew that his cheat was coming back. A few hours later, they arrived in the grass below the dam. Zhou Yi asked Xiaopeng, "Is the task just to get over this dam?" It's very quiet and simple, but the chubby one said, "What do you know? Every time the food in an area is consumed, the big cockroaches will send the little ones to scout for a new place to settle. But the world is full of our natural enemies, and the survival rate of scouting teams is very low. We could be wiped out at any moment." Zhou Yi was stunned when he heard this. Isn't this a death sentence? At the same time, he suspected that the cockroach god was setting a trap, using his death to let off some steam. Thinking of this, Zhou Yi began to have second thoughts. "Let's retreat. I have a way to make sure you all have enough to eat." But at this moment, Little Fatty's whole body was trembling, and Zhou Yi thought Little Fatty was frightened stiff, completely unaware of the intense murderous intent behind him. The lead cockroach fiercely asked, "Where are you going?" Beyond this dam, there is a feast of many monster corpses. First come, first served. Zhou Yi turned back with a forced smile, unable to believe that cockroaches had evolved to eat monsters from another world, then meekly said, "I'm on a diet lately. You all go ahead and feast. No need to save dinner for me." The leading cockroach squinted, then grabbed Zhou Yi's body, saying, "If you don't go to scout, you larvae will be our dinner." These words made Zhou Yi recall when he was still human. Back then their small team also had no backing, and were weak, sent by the base manager to search for food, exactly like this leading cockroach now. He threw Zhou Yi to the ground, cursing, "You larvae should thank me for giving you a chance to survive." After saying that, he flew over and stepped on Zhou Yi's head, causing Zhou Yi to tremble uncontrollably in pain, thinking he must get his cheat back. Just turning into a cockroach that can eat anything can't survive in this apocalypse. I must become stronger. This is clearly a dam paved with wave-breaking stones. Unexpectedly, when the cockroach army passed, it shed its disguise, exposing the true nature of toads. It turns out that just now, Zhou Yi was coerced by the leading cockroach to lead a cockroach nymph to explore the way to the dam. They carefully crossed the main road, Hong spread out the team and advanced slowly, but Little Fat clung fearfully to Zhou Yi's hand, not daring to leave, and Zhou Yi was helpless. He glanced at the dam, curious about how strange it was. This isn't a riverside, so why are there breakwaters here? At this moment, the large cockroach in the back said to the leader, "Boss, they've gone halfway without any sign. Should we go up too?" The leading cockroach agreed. "Right, we can't let these larvae get to the good stuff first. Let's fly straight over, and even if there are enemies, they'll attack the larvae on the ground first." With that, many large cockroaches flew towards the other side of the dam. Zhou Yi complained below. They can fly so well, yet they let us scout the way. A bunch of cowards. But at that moment, the wave-breaking rocks behind Zhou Yi suddenly moved, and when he turned around, he saw a gigantic eyeball with a horizontal pupil in the center. At this moment, Zhou Yi suddenly realized that all these stones were actually toads. They were camouflaging themselves as stones, then waiting for prey to come to them. All the cockroach nymphs were stunned in place until one of the toads extended its claw-like tongue, and only then did they desperately scurry backwards. But the toad's precision in catching insects was too high. Before long, 70 to 80% of the cockroach nymph team was eaten. At this moment, the system emitted a notification sound, encountered a natural enemy, extracting biological data. Mucin toad, an amphibian with well-developed hind leg muscles, can jump 20 times its body length, and its tongue can shoot toward prey at 4 meters per second, with the tip of its tongue having barbed, sharp teeth covered with mucus have a numbing effect. The weakness is that it cannot see still prey. After reading the system's intro, Zhou Yi instructed all the cockroaches not to move. They can't see things that are still, so stay put. Meanwhile, the golden god of cockroaches suddenly appeared and presented a choice. One option is to point out a safe path for you to escape to safety. The other is to save a cockroach and accept your first loyal follower on the road to becoming the king of cockroaches. Zhou Yi looked seriously at the god of cockroaches, thinking to himself, if you're dead, how can you become the king of cockroaches? Just as he was about to choose the first option, he heard Little Fatty's cries. I saw Little Fatty collapse on the ground, holding a small stone and sobbing, and he called out, "Big brother," to Zhou Yi. This scene made Zhou Yi recall the moment he was abandoned. In that desperate moment, what he wished for most wasn't even to become a cockroach, but rather to have someone who could turn back and give him a hand. Even at the end of the world's life and death juncture, as the countdown by the god of cockroaches reached 2, Joey grabbed Fatty and flew away without hesitation. You useless Fatty. You've had too much crap, lose weight for me in the future.
Tears and snot flow together from little chubby. Big brother, I love you.
Joey told him to shut up. Your bad breath is affecting my speed. But despite their desperate flapping, it couldn't match the giant toad's powerful inhale. At this critical moment, Joey threw Xiaopang away, while he himself became a tasty meal for the toad. Yet this action earned him the cockroach god's approval. Your brave self-sacrifice has impressed the cockroach god. The system will reopen for you.
Activate the characteristic Devour All Things, trigger Devour All Things, acquire the mutated toad sticky tongue extension, and strong acid mucus characteristics.
In the next moment, the massive toad's head suddenly exploded, and the completely naked Joey reappeared in human form.
Special reward, reshape human form.